If your pivot table ignores new rows you just added, the pivot table is not broken, it's usually pointing at the wrong range, and the fix is often simple once you know what to check. In this video, you'll learn the exact reasons new data doesn't show up, and a clean checklist to make your pivot tables update every time. We'll start with the most common cause: the source range didn't expand. Then we'll cover refresh versus change data source and why those are not the same thing. After that, we'll use Excel tables so your pivot table grows automatically. We'll also handle tricky cases like blank rows, extra header lines, and data pasted below the table. Finally, we'll talk about pivot table cache behavior and when you need a full rebuild. By the end, you'll be able to fix the current pivot table and prevent the issue from coming back in the next report cycle. Next step. First, let's separate two ideas that get mixed up: refreshing and resizing. Refreshing tells the pivot table to reread the data it already knows about. Resizing changes what data the pivot table is allowed to read in the first place. So if your new rows are outside the current source range, you can refresh all day and nothing changes. This is why people feel stuck. The pivot table is doing exactly what it was told. A fast way to diagnose this is to check whether the new rows sit directly under the last row of the original source, or whether there's a gap, a blank row, or a different block of data. If the new rows are outside, you must update the data source. If they are inside, then a refresh may be enough, but we still need to watch for blanks and formatting issues. Keep that mental model in mind. Range first, refresh second. Next step. Now let's do the most direct fix. Update the pivot table's data source range. When you change the data source, you're telling Excel, include these new rows too. The key is to select the full rectangle of your dataset. One header row, then all rows and columns of actual data. If you accidentally include extra blank columns, Excel may treat them as fields with empty names, which can create confusion later. If you miss a column, your pivot table fields may disappear or show partial results. After you set the correct range, refresh the pivot table so it rebuilds the summary using the expanded data. One more detail: if your dataset grows every week, manually resetting the range is a recurring chore. So consider this a quick repair, not the long-term solution. The long-term solution is to convert the source into an Excel table, which we'll do next. Next step. The most reliable way to stop this problem permanently is to use an Excel table as your pivot table source. A table is a structured range that automatically expands when you add rows directly below it or type in the next empty row. When a pivot table is built from a table, the pivot table source effectively becomes whatever is in this table, not cells A1 to D200. That means new rows are included without you touching the data source settings. To set this up, convert your dataset to a table, confirm that the headers are correct, and give the table a clear name like sales data or tickets. Then build a pivot table from that table name. From then on, your weekly process becomes simple. Add rows into the table, then refresh the pivot table. It's still important to refresh, but you no longer have to chase the range. Next step. A common frustration is, I added rows, but the table didn't expand. That usually means the new rows were pasted outside the table boundary. Tables expand when you type directly in the row right below the table, or when you paste into the first blank row that is still considered part of the table's growth area. If you paste far below, or you leave a blank row between the table and the new data, Excel may treat it as a separate block. Another issue is merge cells or multi-line headers above the table, which can confuse where the table starts. The fix is to ensure there are no completely blank rows inside the dataset, and to add new records by inserting rows within the table or typing directly under it. If you already pasted outside, you can cut those rows and paste them into the table area, or resize the table to include them. After that, refresh the pivot table. Next step. Let's talk about blank rows and almost blank rows, because they are pivot table troublemakers. If your source is a normal range, a fully blank row can make Excel think the dataset ended, especially when you originally selected the range quickly. Even in tables, blank rows inside the table can create records with missing fields, which may filter out unexpectedly. Also watch for cells that look blank but contain spaces, apostrophes, or formulas returning an empty string. Those can change grouping, sorting, and filtering in ways that feel random. A practical cleanup step is to make sure every column has a clear header and every row is a real record with a value in the key identifier column, like date, ID, or order number. If you need separators, use formatting or a helper column, not blank rows. Next step. Another reason new rows don't show correctly is inconsistent columns. Pivot tables expect each column to represent one field, with one header name, and consistent data types underneath. If your new rows have a shifted layout, like an extra comma in a CSV import or a missing value that pushed everything left, those rows may land in the wrong columns. Then the pivot table technically includes them, but they don't appear where you expect. Similarly, if a column header is blank, duplicated, or changed slightly, Excel may treat it as a different field, and your pivot table field list becomes confusing. The fix is to standardize the headers, avoid merged header cells, and keep the same columns in the same order. If you import data, validate a few of the newest rows before refreshing the pivot table. Next step. Sometimes the pivot table includes the new rows, but you still don't see them because of filters. This is especially common when you're filtering by date, category, or a top-end filter. Your new rows might be outside the selected date range, or they might use a slightly different spelling, so they land in a different item that's currently hidden. Also check for manual item selections in slicers, report filters, and even hidden field filters inside the pivot table. A quick test is to clear filters for the field you expect to change, refresh, and see whether the totals jump. If they do, the pivot table was updating, but your filters were hiding the new records. Once you confirm that, you can reapply filters more carefully, or adjust the filter logic, like using this month versus a fixed date range. Filters are powerful, but they can mask updates. Next step. Now let's cover pivot table cache behavior, because it creates a very specific confusion. Old items still show up, or new items don't appear in dropdowns even after refresh. Pivot tables store a cache of unique items for fields, and that cache can keep items that no longer exist, or delay showing new ones in certain lists. One setting controls this, whether Excel keeps items deleted from the data source. If you want field dropdowns to reflect only what's currently in the data, you can set the pivot table to not retain deleted items. The trade-off is that you may lose the ability to select historical items that aren't present in the current source. In most reporting workflows, it's cleaner to not retain them. After changing that setting, refresh again. If the pivot table still behaves oddly, creating a new pivot table from the same source can reset the cache completely. Next step. Let's build a simple troubleshooting checklist you can run in under 2 minutes. Step 1. Confirm the new rows are inside the source, not below it. If you're using a normal range, update the data source range. If you're using a table, confirm the table actually expanded to include the rows. Step 2. Refresh the pivot table. Step 3. Clear filters temporarily to confirm the new rows aren't being hidden. Step 4. Scan for blank rows, shifted columns, or header problems that would misplace the data. Step 5. If item lists look wrong, check the cache setting for retaining deleted items, then refresh again. And if you've inherited a messy workbook with multiple pivots and strange behavior, rebuilding the pivot table from a clean table source is often faster than chasing edge cases. The goal is repeatability. Add rows, refresh, done. Next step. To prevent this from happening again, design your data flow so the pivot table source is stable. Use one clean header row, no merged cells, and consistent columns. Store the data in an Excel table with a meaningful name. Add new records by inserting rows inside the table, not by pasting blocks below random blank lines. If you import data, land it into the table structure, or load it into a staging sheet, and then append it cleanly. Then keep your pivot tables simple. Avoid hard-coded ranges, document any important filters, and refresh in a consistent order if you have multiple pivots. Small habits like these turn pivot tables from temperamental into dependable. If you want one rule to remember, it's this. Make the source predictable, and pivot tables become predictable too. Next step. Let's wrap it up. If your pivot table isn't showing new rows, the root cause is almost always one of 3 things. The source range didn't include the new rows, the data structure broke with blanks or misaligned columns, or filters and cache settings are masking what changed. The fastest repair is to update the data source range and refresh. The best long-term fix is to convert the source to an Excel table and build the pivot table from that table. That way, your dataset can grow without constant maintenance. If you want, share your experience in the comments as a quick force choice. Do you usually build pivot tables from a normal range or from an Excel table, A or B? And if this walkthrough helped you make your pivot tables update reliably, consider subscribing for more Excel problem solving that focuses on practical workflows. Subscribe to keep optimizing your workflow and get back more of your time.